Jayson Gaddis, Getting to Zero, How to Work Through Conflict in Your High-Stakes Relationships. Embark on a transformative journey to manage conflicts in your high-stakes relationships with Getting to Zero by Jayson Gaddis. Discover the origins of conflict, whether it stems from too much closeness or distance, and learn how to identify your coping mechanisms for dealing with it. This book summary equips you with practical tools like the conflict box and techniques like NESTR meditation to address unresolved issues. By understanding your relational blueprint, you can rewire your brain to enhance your emotional resilience and foster stronger connections with your loved ones.
Unraveling conflict triggers. Conflict arises when we feel threatened, either physically or emotionally. In relationships, this can stem from too much closeness or too much distance. When these feelings of threat trigger us, we employ coping mechanisms, or disconnectors. By identifying and understanding our disconnectors, we can better manage conflicts in our lives. Have you ever stopped to consider the roots of conflict? Although the exact reasons can differ, conflict commonly emerges when we feel threatened. These threats can be physical, emotional, or related to our identity, property, safety, health, morals, or loved ones. In the context of relationships, feeling threatened usually originates from one of two sources: excessive closeness or too much distance. Both situations can evoke a sense of danger. If someone gets too close, you may worry about attack, while increased distance can bring about fears of abandonment. Excessive closeness can manifest when a person approaches you confrontationally or raises their voice. These behaviors can seem aggressive, especially if the individual is upset, as their body language may make them appear larger than they are. Consequently, it's natural for you to become defensive. On the contrary, too much distance can lead to feelings of insignificance or fear of being left behind. Such distance emerges when someone abruptly leaves, gives you the silent treatment, slams doors, or interrupts your conversation. In today's highly connected world, even unreturned calls or unanswered messages can widen the gap between people. Silence, however, is often the most unsettling, as it leaves you in a state of uncertainty. Feeling triggered by closeness or distance is normal, but prolonged exposure to this state can have detrimental effects on your mental and physical well-being. Luckily, there are steps you can take to address these triggers. Begin by identifying your coping mechanisms, or disconnectors. There are generally 4 types of disconnectors. 1. Posturing. This mechanism involves attacking or blaming the other person to shield yourself from harm. 2. Collapsing. As the opposite of posturing, collapsing entails shutting down or imploding, taking the blame for the situation. 3. Seeking. When employing this mechanism, you feel insecure and try to re-establish a connection. However, this may unintentionally drive the other person away. 4. Avoiding. With this disconnector, you create distance between yourself and the other party. Recognizing how you disconnect enables you not only to identify when you're using these strategies, but also to inform those close to you, allowing them to support you during times of conflict. Conflict resolution in a box. The complex and emotionally charged task of resolving personal conflict can be distilled into a simple and powerful method called a conflict box. By segmenting the issue and understanding one's own role in the conflict, it becomes easier to identify and tackle unresolved disputes, ultimately helping you reach emotional equilibrium. We all face conflicts in our lives, whether with friends, co-workers, or family. These unresolved issues often become burdens on our emotional well-being, causing stress, anger, and regret. To regain control and find peace, let's explore the concept of thinking inside the box, creating a conflict box, that is. To create a conflict box, follow these steps. 1. Start by drawing a box and dividing it into 9 rows. 2. In the top row, write the name of the person with whom you have an unresolved issue. 3. In the second row, jot down up to 5 words describing what this person did or failed to do. 4. Describe how you feel when thinking about this person in the third row. For instance, are you angry, hurt, or disappointed? 5. In the fourth row, rate these feelings on a scale from 1 to 10, using 0 as your baseline and 10 as the most intense emotion. 6. State the duration of the conflict in the fifth row. 7. If it helps, label each row with a brief summary of what the conflict is about. After completing these steps, assess the person, the situation, and your conflict box's content. Ask yourself whether you want to resolve the dispute, and if you've done everything possible to achieve that. If the idea of confrontation is daunting, consider working on a different conflict first. However, if you feel this person is a lost cause, be honest with yourself and focus on someone you genuinely care about and want to resolve issues with. When you've decided on the right individual, add the sixth row to your conflict box. Admit your role in the conflict by describing your behavior and contributions to the issue. This doesn't imply admitting fault or playing the victim, it's about acknowledging and taking ownership of your part in the matter. This conflict box serves as an invaluable reflection tool, summarizing essential aspects of the unresolved issue at hand. As you work towards resolution, this box provides insight and guidance, helping you achieve emotional balance by addressing and conquering personal conflicts. Mastering your relational blueprint. Ever feel uneasy when your partner doesn't reply promptly to your messages or crave some alone time away from the world? Your relational blueprint, built on past experiences with significant relationships, is the foundation of your attachment and social patterns. To better understand your blueprint, evaluate your attachment relationship, the primary bond formed with a caregiver during childhood. A secure attachment relationship, developed by feeling supported, challenged, safe, seen, and soothed, lays the foundation for successful adult relationships. Insecure attachment, however, results from caregivers being too distant or close, leading to emotional shutdowns, a sense of insecurity, and difficulty resolving conflicts. By learning how to work through conflicts, you can rewire your brain, understand the conflict repair cycle, and gain control over your relational destiny. Has anything ever set you on edge, like worrying when that special someone doesn't reply to your texts? Or do you crave moments of solitude to escape the chaos of the world? It all comes down to your relational blueprint, the impressions left on you by past high-stakes relationships with family, friends, and partners. These connections shape how you'll interact with others throughout your life. To improve your relationships and react better during conflicts, it's essential to understand your unique relational blueprint. Your attachment relationship, the principal bond formed with a caregiver when you were young, is the critical foundation of this blueprint. When you felt secure, supported, challenged, safe, seen, and soothed as a kid, you're more likely to develop well-adjusted adult relationships. As an adult, the people you form significant connections with will mutually satisfy each other's relational needs. Unfortunately, not everyone benefits from a secure attachment relationship. Those who had caregivers that were too distant or excessively close often form an insecure attachment, leading to emotional shutdowns, feeling uneasy in relationships, and experiencing disconnection from life. Having unresolved issues in relationships, known as disconnects, is normal. The key is to repair these disconnects, ultimately returning to a connected state known as zero. The way you navigate this conflict repair cycle, moving between connection, disconnection, and reconnection, has been influenced by your childhood experiences with adults. It's possible to feel disconnected in a world filled with hundreds of virtual friends. But remember, you won't be enslaved by your relational blueprint your entire life. Instead, by learning how to address conflicts and understanding the importance of connection, you can rewire your mind to master the normal conflict repair cycle. Taking control of your relational blueprint will subsequently reshape your relationships and your destiny. Embrace conflict, discover yourself. Conflict is often seen as a source of discomfort and something to be avoided. However, avoiding conflict might not be the best solution. Embracing conflict and addressing it properly could lead you closer to your true self and bring about better relationships and genuine connections. Conflict might seem unsettling, but it's an essential aspect of our lives. As described by self-care expert Cheryl Richardson, if you avoid conflict to keep the peace, you start a war inside yourself. We often have a duality inside us, a free, wild, and innocent true self alongside a strategic self that adapts to its environment to mitigate perceived threats. This inner conflict intensifies when we face challenges in our adult lives. That's why addressing conflicts head-on is crucial. It brings us closer to our true selves. Now, let's say you're confronted with conflict with someone in your life. There are two primary ways to approach it. Option A, being honest and facing the conflict, but risking the relationship, and Option B, avoiding the conflict to maintain peace, but suppressing your true self. Seemingly easier, Option B ultimately leads to a conflict buildup that can be more destructive when it finally surfaces. Additionally, greater issues emerge, including the initial conflict, our repressed inner conflict, and the new conflict created by avoidance. Analyzing your fears while dealing with conflicts can be revealing. Consider the potential consequences of speaking your truth and how they make you feel. It's essential to recognize that choosing Option B, avoidance, is essentially an act of self-protection against these feared outcomes. There is a more effective alternative, however, learning to resolve conflict correctly, Option C. This approach encourages understanding, honesty, and connection, allowing you to express your true self while strengthening relationships rather than damaging them. Option C is advantageous as it shifts our response to conflict from avoidance to honest engagement, ultimately leading to a healthier, more authentic life. Embracing conflict can be a transformative experience, bringing us closer to our genuine selves and paving the way for meaningful connections with others. Master your emotional discomfort. Failed relationships often stem from the inability to manage personal emotional discomfort and navigate conflicts with others. By identifying the sources of discomfort, increasing your emotional discomfort threshold, EDT, and practicing NESTR meditation, you can become more comfortable with your own emotions and better understand your partner's needs during conflicts. Ensuring that your partner feels supported, challenged, safe, seen, and soothed will help both of you maintain a healthy connection. Relationship failures often result from an inability to handle personal emotional reactions or navigate conflicts with others. Reflecting on past failed relationships, you might recognize that minor issues caused irreparable rifts simply because you or your partner couldn't manage emotions effectively. To overcome this pitfall and build stronger connections, learning to cope with personal discomfort is crucial. First, determine whether the source of your discomfort is internal or external. Remember that other people do not cause your feelings, but rather trigger them. Addressing these feelings is your responsibility. Your capacity to handle emotional discomfort defines your emotional discomfort threshold, EDT, which can be improved through practice and development. To increase your EDT, try NESTR meditation. It involves focusing on your pain or discomfort, numbering it from 0, comfort zone, to 10, intense distress, labeling the emotion, identifying physical sensations and thoughts, and reconnecting with a grounded mental state. Practicing NESTR meditation for around 5 minutes can help you become more accustomed to your emotions, guiding you toward more frequent states of comfort. Additionally, learning to accept and empathize with your partner's emotions is vital for conflict resolution. Consider the 4 relational needs: support, challenge, safety, and soothing. Actively providing these components during every conflict will nurture your connection and help restore emotional balance in your relationship. By mastering your own emotional discomfort and understanding your partner's needs, you can create a healthy and resilient bond. Mastering LUFU, conflict resolution. The LUFU, listen until they feel understood, technique is a powerful tool for resolving conflicts through effective listening and understanding. This non-linear, 8-step approach requires presence and curiosity to cultivate empathy, develop active and reflective listening, validate and own up to one's role in the conflict, and ultimately establish a shared reality between the conflicting parties. Listening is an art, and it becomes crucial when tackling conflicts. Misunderstandings often stem from poor communication, resulting in defensiveness and heightened tension. The key to comprehending the other party during conflict is employing LUFU, which equips you with the ability to listen intently until they feel understood. Embarking on the LUFU journey requires presence, a state of self-awareness regarding thoughts and emotions, directing uninterrupted attention towards the other person. Once you've established your presence, venture through the 8 LUFU steps, remembering that they are not strictly sequential. Initiate with curiosity, delving not only into the content of the person's words but also the way they express them, and the underlying emotions of unsaid thoughts. Follow this by practicing reflective listening, paraphrasing, or summarizing their words to show your attentive engagement. Confirm your understanding with same-page questions such as, "Am I grasping what you mean?" Next, engage in active listening, pausing to digest the information shared and occasionally interjecting with empathetic comments like, "Let me make sure I'm keeping up with you." As you progress within LUFU, empathy may pose challenges. To overcome them, visualize yourself in your counterpart's position, evaluating your role in the conflict and its impact on them. Express your insights using empathic statements, such as acknowledging their frustration. Validating the other's perspective is the 6th step, and it can be as simple as saying, "That makes sense." It doesn't signify total agreement but demonstrates your comprehension of their viewpoint. Sincerely grasping their stance is essential to ensure authenticity. Owning your role in the conflict is the penultimate step. Accept responsibility without resorting to explanations or justifications. Focus on listening, patiently awaiting your opportunity to speak after achieving shared reality, the final step. Shared reality is attained by asking questions like, "Do you feel understood now?" If the answer is negative, revisit the LUFU steps as needed. Ultimately, LUFU is a powerful skill for fostering understanding and resolving conflicts constructively, benefiting relationships and personal growth.
Jayson Gaddis, Getting to Zero, delivers invaluable insights and tools to better understand and resolve conflict in high-stakes relationships. By recognizing your coping mechanisms and utilizing tools like the conflict box, you can work through conflicts more efficiently and effectively. Gain a deeper understanding of your relational blueprint and how it affects your connections with others, while mastering techniques like NESTR meditation to manage your emotional discomfort. By harnessing the power of LUFU, listen until they feel understood, build stronger, lasting bonds with your loved ones and develop yourself as a better partner, friend, and family member.